and welcome. Thank you all for joining us here. My name is Clara Shook. I am the event coordinator with the West Business Development Center. This workshop is brought to you by the West Business Development Center. We are a nonprofit funded by the Small Business Administration, the SBA, a federal organization, and we host two centers. We host the Women's Business Center and we host the Small Business Development Center for Mendocino and Lake County. West is funded through federal, California state, and local government grants. In exchange for those grants, we provide free confidential business services to small business owners and entrepreneurs during every stage of business development. So whether you're just starting out with an idea, you're in your first, your fifth, your 20th year of business, we want to be a resource you can call upon when you have any questions or have needs in your business development. We do this through one-on-one counseling. There are no limits to counseling sessions. We have a wide variety of advisors who can help you with practically any field of business that you might be in or need help in. We also do this through low-cost workshops and free webinars like the one you're at today, as well as offering loan packets and advising. So if you're getting ready to apply for a small business loan or you have questions about a small business loan that you've already taken out, we have advisors who can help you with that process. And that's basically how our funding is used. If you're interested in becoming a client or finding out more about West, please feel free to visit our website or give us a call. I'll put that information in the chat box below. I do want to remind everyone we are recording, and I will send a link to the recording as well as a copy of the slide deck to everyone in the next couple of days. So never fear, it'll be in your inbox within 48 hours or so. I do also want to let everyone know we will be doing a very short poll at the end of this workshop, so please make sure to stay to the end and help answer those poll questions. They're really useful for us in finding out what kind of workshops we should be offering next, as well as helping with our funding so we can keep providing these free resources. So without further ado, I'd like to hand things over to our instructor today, Baqi Kopelman. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. This is the page that says we're going to begin. We're going to skip that. And this is the page that shows all of you guys out there, or in a way. And this is the page that tells everyone all the logos that are involved in this, which Clara covered. This is the page that talks about me. I think some of you already know me, and those who don't, you can read that when you get the slide deck, but I'm going to kind of skip that. This is video basics. And more specifically, it's video basics for the app, Splice. If you just joined us, we mentioned earlier that some people were finding a lot of phony versions of the app Splice in the Google store. I will show you in a little bit the logo of the correct Splice once again. All right, because I want to get to the good stuff, I'm going to go kind of fast on the boring stuff. What we're going to do today is we're going to discuss shooting video with your phone. We're going to discuss organizing your video clips into albums and getting started with the app Splice. We're going to go over editing clips together, using editing tools to improve the look, adding music to your video, adding text and titles, and exporting the final project. This class is slightly biased to the iPhone, so all the images you're going to see are of an iPhone, and when we're discussing media management, etc., we're discussing the photo app in an iPhone. Those of you with Android-based phones will be able to do all the same steps, just the interface is going to look a little different than what you're going to see here today. And, okay, so the very first thing, I'm just going to jump right in, is camera basics. One, there is a logo that is your camera somewhere on your phone, wherever you keep it. And when you click that button, your camera turns on. There are two cameras in phones. There's a forward-facing camera and an external-facing camera. The external-facing camera is the good one. The selfie camera or forward-facing one is lower res. Try not to use it unless you have to. There are two ways basically to shoot and record video. One is vertical, or known as portrait mode, and one is horizontal or landscape. These become important when you consider the format that you're delivering your final video in, which we will go into. All right, next slide. Within the camera app, sorry, moving things on the screen that are in my way. Within the camera app, which you can get to by going to settings on your camera and typing in the word camera or looking for it and then touching the word camera, you will see some basic settings. The reason we're going here today, or you will be going there at some point, is to turn on the grid. The grid is thin white lines that allow you to compose your video in more considerate ways. So a grid is just white lines on the screen. These other buttons and tabs, my rule is if you don't know what they do, don't mess with them. But generally, you're going to be recording video at 1080p. At 30 frames, you can or cannot record sound depending on what you're doing. That's up to you. And HDR, high dynamic range. It's called Smart HDR because it is really smart. It helps mesh together 3 versions of anything you shoot at 3 different exposures to allow the highlights and shadows to be more visible, creating a more dynamic range that you can see. Okay, moving on. When you turn on the grid on an iPhone, you get these thin white lines that you are seeing here on the screen. The grid is set up in thirds because over centuries of creating art and visuals, the greatest human minds have discovered that if you place something within a third line of a frame, the eye is drawn to it. It's called the rule of thirds. So any point of these intersections where the lines intersect or where the lines travel are where you want to put important things in your video. Here is an example of using these lines and using the rule of thirds in a composition. In this photo here with the clothespin right in the middle of the frame, you'll notice your eye has trouble getting to the clothespin as opposed to the one where it's on the third line and it just sticks there. Composition is a science and it's been well studied. Rule of thirds really works. Also, your opinion matters. There are times to break rules. All right, here are some notes on composing good shots. A well-framed image will be more appealing and therefore more engaging. And what you're trying to do is create content that engages your potential customers on social media or wherever you're using it. First impressions are absolutely everything in social media context because people are going really, really fast. So the first frame of your video is very, very important, as well as that the frame or the image is compelling and well composed. So take your time when composing a shot, frame it up, and then shift the camera around a bit to see how it might be improved. How do you know when it is a better shot? Your first impression actually really matters. When you alter the camera position, does it look better? It doesn't necessarily matter why you like one angle more than the other. What matters is that you like it more and therefore other people will. Your own first impressions are key. Be honest with yourself and avoid the trap of wondering, is this right? Should I do it this way? Should it be another way? Just believe yourself. There's going to be tons of people who agree with you, and no matter what, some people won't like what you like, so it doesn't matter. When you're composing, you frame up and then move the camera up, down, left, right, forward, backward. Try a few options. Remember that when you're dealing with landscapes or rooms that have square lines, keeping the camera level and square to the world around you will give you a better composition. It'll look less awkward. So shoot a few options and then you select your favorite later. Editing is about making refined choices after you've made choices during your shoot. So give yourself options. Digital space in your phone is basically free. You can delete what you don't like later. Keep in mind that often the best video shots involve the camera not moving. Consider using a stand or a tripod or something to prop up your camera. Shaky video can be annoying to viewers. It also can help tell the story sometimes. But know your abilities and set yourself up for a good shot by testing your own handheld abilities versus locked off. And you can buy all kinds of little cheap devices to hold your phone or just lean it up against a book or something. Keep in mind the rule of thirds and copy other videos you like until you develop your own style. I'm sure you've seen videos that impressed you for one reason or another. Just simply copy what they've done in reference to what you're trying to create. Video formats. So various social media platforms have default formats for displaying video. On Instagram, Stories is a vertical 16:9, but basically it's that portrait mode that we talked about. On the grid in Instagram, it is by default a 1:1 square, but you can click a little button and you can make Instagram show your video full frame, which you see here as the default of Twitter and Facebook platforms. Instagram videos that are square fill more of the frame, so not everyone always wants to put the full rectangle there, even though you have that option. So when you're making these videos, consider where you're going to be using it, and sometimes you have to create more than one version. All right, we are going to now switch to a video here and learn how to organize the video clips in our phone. So I'm going to share a new screen here, and here we go. Oops, I lost it. Claire, are you there? Because I can't see my screen.
Yes, I'm here. We can see.
Can you see this, the screen with the phone on it?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to press play on this video and stop it once in a while and explain what's going on. But basically, we're going to look at how to record videos, a few tricks about recording them, and then how to sort out organizing them in the Photos app. So when I play this video, you'll see first I press the camera button in that upper left, and it opens the camera app like this. And then we see Tiger out there. And when we press this button on the bottom, we hit record. And when it's a square, it's recording. And now I've turned the camera properly horizontal. So I'm just shooting some video here. Now, one thing that many of you may not know is that your phones, they have an automatic aperture, so they set how bright the video or photo should be automatically, but you can control this manually. And that's really important, that's very important to help you get the look you want for your video. So we're gonna go over how to manually adjust the iris or the aperture or the exposure on an iPhone. So when you're looking at your shot and you touch the screen with your finger, this yellow square will appear with a little sun symbol next to it. And that yellow square is doing two things. One, it is focusing on whatever you touched, in this case, the eye of the stuffed animal tiger. And it provides this little sun which you can drag up and down to change the exposure. So you can change the exposure manually, and however you leave it, it will stay that way until you're done with that shot or you refocus. So I set the exposure and I hit record. You can also lock this exposure feature. If you hold your finger down for 2 seconds, you'll get a message that says auto exposure, autofocus lock. What this does is allows you to adjust the exposure in the same way up and down, but it locks it there. Whereas the other version, if you touch it and just set the exposure, it will only hold that exposure for that shot or until the camera refocuses. In this case, locking the exposure also locks the focus. So that's great for a shot where you're not moving or you don't need autofocus to track something. But if you lock your exposure and your focus, and then you move the camera in toward the subject or away from the subject, it will become blurry. Now, this is also a good thing. The fact that you can make your video blurry at the beginning can be used as a tool, where you might start on an object that's slightly out of focus, and as you back up, it comes into focus and reveals something beautiful. So be cautious and thoughtful when you use autofocus, auto exposure lock, but it's a great way to make sure that your video is consistent. All right. Now, the other thing that people run into is the finger. This is my finger in the upper left corner of the screen. Sometimes people forget where the lens is on their camera, on the back of their phone. And you just want to make sure that you're actually watching out for blocking yourself with your own fingers. Remember, you can hold the camera any way you want. There are no rules. And sometimes getting a stick or a tool to hold it will help you. So I'm setting the exposure here without setting the focus lock. So the exposure is set, but the focus will autofocus if I move around. Okay, that is how you can manually adjust your exposure with an iPhone. Okay, now I'm going to share the next screen where we are going to learn how to organize. Sorry, a little technical stuff here. We're going to learn how to organize our videos that we shoot. So once you've shot some videos using all the techniques we talked about, good composition, shooting lots of options, controlling your exposure manually, etc., testing whether you want to be handheld or locked off. Once you have a bunch of videos, you're going to go into your Photos app and you're going to click the recent button and you're going to see all the things that you recently shot. What you want to do now is you're going to create an album. So you're going to select a bunch of clips that you would like to put into this album. So you're going to hit the select button in the upper right, and then you are going to touch the frames of what you'd like to select, and you'll get a blue check mark on everything that you've selected and sort of a milky filter over it. After you've tapped the items you want to select, you'll go down to the bottom of the screen and you'll click what's known as the share icon in Apple. And after you click that, it will ask you where you want to share it to, and you will select Add to Album. And after you click Add to Album, it will show you your albums and offer you to create it will show you the album drawer is what it's called, and offer you to make a new album. So the drawer pops up, you click New Album, and then you enter a name for that album. In this case, we're going to call it Splice Tiger, and then we're going to tap Save, and then the phone will animate all these little clips going into the album, boom. And then it will take you back to recents where you just were, and you click the album button in the upper left, and it will show you your albums, my albums, and then we see that Splice Tiger is there. We click on Splice Tiger and we see that there are 9 video clips inside of here. Albums are absolutely key to easy editing in any app, Splice, iMovie, or anything else. And a lot of what you're going to learn today could be used with iMovie. We're using Splice because it's a really good app. It does have free options. It's not entirely free. We'll get into that. iMovie, if you have an iPhone, is entirely free, etc. Okay, now we're switching to another video where we are going to actually learn how to use the app Splice. So here we go. And Claire, can you confirm that we've got the video that says Splice there? Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Thank you. So I'll be starting and stopping this video, and of course we're going to do questions and answers at the end here. Okay, so you open the app by touching it. It opens up. The first time you open it, it's going to tell you things like, welcome to Splice. You're going to accept the terms of service. You're going to click the little arrow, and then it's going to jump right into start a new project. And you click the plus button, and then it's going to ask you permission to access your photos, which you're going to need to give it permission to access in order to edit with it. So you hit OK. And then it's going to access your photos, and it's going to show you your recents by default. And then you can click your album and go into this album Splice Tiger, because that's what we're going to be working with. And then once we've picked the album, we're going to click the next button in the upper right. Now, the first time you use this app, it's going to give you these little tips, like use this button to add and edit highlights, etc. Splice calls pared down clips from your videos highlights. What you're going to basically do is you're going to go into your album and you're going to select each video clip by touching it. In case you didn't see that, I'll just go back. So you touch the clip you want, it turns blue, and then it pops up on your screen. And then it'll give you a little note about creating highlights. Essentially, this is an opportunity to cut the part of the video that you want to use out from the rest of the video. And so it's going to tell you that that's what you're doing. You click the done button. So now you can do what's called scrubbing. You can use your finger to slide the video to the sides, and you can tap a section and it will grab 2 seconds for you. And you can drag the ends of that blue form out, too fast, to select the entire clip that you want. And then when you're done with it, you click the done button and it saves it as a new clip. Then you go to the next clip and you scrub your way through it. You find where you think is the middle of the part you want. You drag the ends left and right. You're seeing how long the piece is. You'll see as you make the new clips, they'll form at the bottom of the screen, and they will show you how long they are. So clip 1, I made 3 seconds, clip 2, 2 seconds, clip 3 is 10 seconds, etc. And you can see which clips I've created highlights from because they turn blue. Now, while you're in the edit, you'll be able to adjust those clips, either lengthen them or shorten them, but this gives you a good head start on trimming the excess video you don't want in your project. After you have selected, after you've selected all your highlights from all your clips, you're going to hit the next button in the upper right. And then you'll get to this page where it'll say, okay, let's make a project. So you're going to fill out this information. And the first thing you're going to do is give it a title. So you title it, and then you are going to select the aspect ratio. It's going to default recognize how the video was shot. But if you're making a video specifically for Instagram stories, you want to be editing in portrait mode. If it's for Instagram grid or some other use that you want it to be square, you select that, or landscape. You can also reshape these projects later. All right, so you pick your aspect ratio or let the default go. You can select which one you want, and then you hit the create button in the upper right. What it does when you hit create is it takes all those highlighted clips that you've selected and it puts them into what's called the timeline. It puts them in order, in the order that they were in your collection. You're going to have a chance to move them around, and it just puts them next to each other, and you can play them and you can see that all these different clips have been stuck together. And where those little white squares are on the line, that's the transition. Now you can swap out the transitions to make them cool or different in some way. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So you can select any clip in the timeline and you can affect that clip. You can shorten it by dragging the edges of it. Anything when you select it, it turns blue. When you're working with it, it turns yellow. You can drag it and shorten it, and then you can test whether you like it or not by pressing play again after you've made an adjustment. I felt that clip was too long. I shortened it. Now, I decided I don't like it where it is, so I'm going to move it. And to do that, you simply hold your finger on it and then drag your finger upward, and it will start to remove it from the timeline. And you can move it to another position. So now I moved that shot to the beginning. Now that's the opening shot of my video, and it transitions next and next. And I simply watch it and I look for things that I like and I don't like. Now I've decided I want to adjust this shot. Maybe it's too long, it doesn't feel right. I shrink it down, I press play again. I decide whether I like it or not. And then this shot, I decide to shorten as well. And you just systematically do this. You can be rearranging, shortening, and lengthening pieces. And every time you make a change, just press play. Now, I decided I didn't like this clip. I'm going to drag it to the trash. So it's not going to throw it away from your album. It's just going to throw it out of this project. So you're not deleting your raw media in any way. So you hold your finger on it and then you drag upwards and you circle around and drop it in the trash can, and now it's gone. Okay. The other thing you can do is there are a lot of built-in tools in this. There are, for example, filters, which we're going to deal with here. You select a clip, you hit the filter button, and then you can look through these different filters and you'll see the various changes in the video clip above. You can also adjust the potency of these filters using the slider. So 100% is the full filter, but you could add a little bit of filter if you want. So I'm sliding that filter up and down, and I decide I like it at 56%. So now I've put that filter on there. You'll notice as soon as I use the filter, the Splice logo comes on the screen. You can edit in this app basically for free, but using the filters and the crossfades and adding music and all the benefits has a subscription rate. Again, if you have an iPhone, you can do this in iMovie for totally free. If you're actually making content for social media, the price of this is worth it in that it has a lot of tools. It's very powerful, it works well, and if you don't pay companies for their technology, you basically are fodder for ad companies. So you want people to pay you for your business, we need to pay Splice for their business or use another app. So you can also add different types of transitions. So a transition is how the video clips connect. And there's lots of fun stuff to play with in here. So you can choose different transitions or no transition, and you can play with them and see how they function. There's also speed in here. You can make your video slow-mo or high speed by choosing speed, and you can ramp it up to 10 times the speed or make it really, really slow motion. That's up to you. And that is a really helpful tool as well. So for example, adjusting the speed doesn't bring up the Splice logo. That's one of the free options, for example. All right. There are individual controls. So there are preset filters, but you can also individually control adjustments to videos by selecting the video and choosing so there's this arrow down here with the tool drawer, and I know this video is going a little bit fast, but in the tool drawer, when you play around, you'll find all these things. So if you hit adjust, you'll have exposure, contrast, saturation, sharpness, temperature, which is warm and cool, hue, which is the pink, the magenta green shift on the video. So you should just play with things and see what it is you like. You'll develop styles eventually. Now, when you make an adjustment to one clip, the most handy thing about this app, or one of the things that I love, is these blue check marks come down here. And what that option is anything you've done to one clip, if you click that option, it allows you to have that same change happen to every clip in the timeline without you making any extra effort. So if you take the time to color up one frame or filter it just right, it will make those changes universally. So you can adjust something like saturation. I'm just playing with the look. Color temperature is the warm blue shift. And then you click that apply to all. And that little pop-up came up. It said, apply to all or cancel. And that's what we just talked about. Okay, so I apply to all, and now every clip has had this saturation contrast adjustment I've made. You can add text, effects, music, etc. We're going to go through a few more of these options. So we're going to go through music here. And I don't know if you're going to be able to hear the music through this screen share that we've chosen, but essentially, when you're ready, you hit the drawer button, you go to the music button, it opens up this thing, and there's all this canned music in here that you can use. Again, this is when you're paying the subscription rate, but there's hundreds upon hundreds of tracks that are great. Or you can use your own music collection like iTunes, or you can import music from another file in your phone. In this case, we're gonna tap energetic, and then we're gonna listen to something, and I selected some track called Reach, and I added on there. And again, the logos come up because this is the paid pro version that you need to get. And I play it a little bit, and I decide I don't like it, so I click it. Oh wait, before I decided I didn't like it, sorry about that, there's adjustments. When you click it, just like videos, you are able to adjust the volume. So this is important. If you're adding music to where people are talking, you can decrease the volume of the music. You can adjust the speed of the audio, so it can sound like the Chipmunks Christmas music or slow-mo. You can even change directions of the audio. You can have it play backwards and find out what the Beatles were really saying at the end of their album. You can duplicate it and that sort of thing. Play with these options. So if you decide you don't like it, you touch it, you drag it, you drop it in the trash, and you begin again. I'm gonna choose music again, and this time I'm gonna go to my iTunes. I'm gonna pick a song by Nina Simone that I love, and I'm gonna add that song. Now, when the song is imported, wherever the playhead is, meaning the little bar that plays the video, is where the music track will land. You can drag it to any part of your video. It doesn't have to start at the beginning or whatever. So it lands where the playhead is. You can drag it into place. You can press play. You can decide that you like it if you're feeling the beat. Now, what you just saw there is what I call squishing the timeline. When I've added a song that is like 3.5 minutes long to a 30-second video clip. So obviously the song is way longer than the video, and if you just leave it that way, you're gonna have a video that ends at 30 seconds, but it'll just be a black frame that keeps going. So you're gonna wanna trim the music to the exact end of your video or wherever you want the music to end, or any audio that you're adding. It could be your voice narrating something. And in order to do that, the easiest way to get to the end of your timeline is to use your fingers, 2 fingers on the screen, to pinch, and you pinch it together. You pinch, 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 and it shrinks the scale of it till you can start to see the whole thing. And then I can see how much longer the music is than the video. And then I go to the end of the video and the end of the audio, and drag it down to match the end of the video roughly. And then I need to zoom in to make this more accurate. So you do the opposite of pinching. You touch 2 fingers on the screen and spread your fingers apart. And then you're pinching outward and you're enlarging the scale. And then you drag the music to the end of the clip, and you want to get as close as you can, because until you're really down into the fine bits of detail, you can't quite see where it ends. And it's important that your audio end where your video ends, otherwise you'll have unwanted black screen at the end of your video. All right, so I've made the audio fit, and now I'm pinching it back into a more reasonable scale for me to operate with. And now I've got my music, but I feel like the music's too loud because maybe I'm gonna add a narrator. So I hit the volume button and I simply slide the volume to the level that I want it to be. You'll also see next to that volume fades, you can place the playhead at the beginning of the track, and you can click it and you can add a fade in and a fade out, and you can adjust the fade by touching the fade icon that would appear and adjusting it as you see fit. So the best way to create good video is, 1, be thoughtful and aware when you're composing and shooting, and shoot too much and sort it out later. And 2 is, as you make your video edit, watch it over and over and over and really get to know the material and adjust as many things as you can. Okay, there are lots of other fun features in here like text. And if you miss that at the bottom, again, there's the drawer down here, and there's all these different tools. And there's text and title. We're going to go over text right now. So you click the text button, and you get this handy text frame, and it says double tap. And you'll see the text underneath the video element right there. You double tap it, and that gives you the chance to go into edit mode. And then you type whatever you want the video to text to be on the screen. And you can obviously adjust any aspect of this text. You can use emojis in this environment, and then you can simply move it around wherever you want using your finger. You can scale it by pinching and using your finger. You can change the color of the text by opening the tools at the bottom. I'm just going to pause for a minute. There's a tool to adjust the size of the text, the color, pick fonts, backgrounds, the alignment, the opacity. Many of you are familiar with these things from other apps. You just play with this. There's a bunch of fonts in there. You find the font that works best for you or matches your other work or your website. You can put background colors on the text and kind of make it into a banner. You can adjust the opacity of any of these elements. You can move the position or the alignment, the opacity of the text itself, and the emojis that you've included. You can also easily duplicate the text and drag it so you can have lots of tiger sparkle words all over your screen if you like, etc. You can move the text anywhere you want. You can move the text by sliding the block in the video timeline to where you want it. Now we're looking at titles. And the title, the difference between title and text places a text element on the video element where your playhead is at the time. Title creates a black space in front of your lead video element that you can then put words on. So in this case, I've hit title instead of text, and I'm putting this title card at the beginning. There was once a. And same thing, you can scale it, you can change the font, the background, the color, etc. And also in this mode, if you had lots of title frames, you could make the changes universal by applying them across all when the blue check marks pop up. So, and you'll see right above the title piece, you'll see this black rectangle with gray lines in it that shows that this is a title piece, not text over video. Okay, so I'm choosing the color of the title piece, and now I'm going to press play, and now it's, oh, now I threw it away. Okay, I threw away all that text. Okay, so that's how text and titles work. There are special effects, and oops. There's a special effects feature here that I don't go into in this video right now. You can also record a voiceover. So what you would do with voiceover is while your video is playing, you would dictate into your phone microphone, and it would record and lay down your audio track right in line with the video. Okay, when you are done, you need to export this video. You need to save it. So, sorry, there's something blocking my screen. There is a symbol at the upper right, which is like a little tray with an arrow in it. That's basically the share video, or the share button. And that will give you a chance to export it to either a social media platform or save it to your camera roll or something else with it. And I forgot to mention in the upper left, there's the undo arrow. You can always undo things. Okay, so you hit the arrow in the upper right, this thing pops up, project name, Tiger, this is where I said you can also, upon export, you can choose the format. So maybe you've edited your whole video in landscape, but now you want to export a square version for Instagram, or you want to do a portrait mode video for stories, but just be aware it's going to cut off parts of the video image that you have there. So you choose the format you're going to export it to, in this case, landscape. It's going to ask you the resolution. Just leave it at full HD 1080. Unless you know why you're doing something else, that's the best default. If you need it to be a smaller file, realize that the resolution will be a lower quality, and you really shouldn't do that unless you have to. And leave the 30 frames per second, unless you have a reason otherwise. You can either save this to your camera roll and then share it however you want later, or you can share it directly to apps that your phone is signed into. So in this case, I am just showing you, you can slide these things around, but I already gave you the notes. Choose 30, choose full HD. So I chose save this, so it's exporting this video and it's going to put it into my camera roll so I can use it or share it later. After it's done exporting, the video edit is still there. So you could make multiple versions. You could export one for Instagram in one format, and then you could export another one, etc. Okay, now we're going to go back to this other screen. All right, we're gonna answer questions here in just a second. My wrap up is, I tried to make something you could remember. If you remember the word camera, compose, angle, manual, exposure, repeat again. So just over and over and over. You might be right the first time, but try a few things. Take out your camera, compose the video, check the angle, set the exposure manually, hit record, and then do it again, slight variations. And every time you say, what can I improve? What can I improve? Remember that you can manually expose with your finger, blah, 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 blah. I would like to now open it up to questions and Q&A and all that. So I'm going to stop sharing. And now I'll try to keep up. If anyone wants to turn on their microphone, I'm all for just everyone talking. That might make it easier. I'm going to look through the Q&A and I'm going to look through the, okay, the app. We'll go over the picture of the app real quick. This is the correct app logo. You may find something similar, but that's it. And the interface looks like the one that we just saw that will be in your email. Okay.
And if anyone does want to ask a question over their mic, just go ahead and raise your hand. You'll see that as an option down at the bottom bar of your Zoom screen. You'll see chat, raise your hand, Q&A. Just go ahead and click that button. It'll turn green. It'll make it so that I can see you and I can turn on your app or your mic.
To answer the first question, Erica, why does it cost $2.99 a week? About in 2010, all the tech companies decided that you guys would no longer own anything in the future. This has been a plan since about 2001. And the idea is that everything that you possess is of subscription model. That's why all your music and all your art and your apps are going that way. It's an economic model that you may or may not agree with, but essentially you can quit at any time. You don't own it, but you get free upgrades, free updates, and that's how they pay their workers and create the product. If you have an app that is free, you are the product. They're stealing information about you and your activities and selling it to other people to give you ads. That's a choice you can make. I don't support that choice. I buy what I like. You can use it for a week for free, and if you don't like it, don't use it. This app only works on a phone. If you want an app that works on your MacBook Pro and your phone, iMovie works in much the same way. It's very similar. The feature it doesn't have is pasting every change you make across all of the images. Splice keeps stopping on my Android phone. All I can say is I hope it's the right one. I don't know. Technical issues are really iffy. I don't mean to be product bias, but essentially I find that Apple makes a more solid platform for arts and entertainment apps and stuff, whereas Google and Android is more focused on gaming and that sort of activity. So hopefully you get the right app and it works out.
In my experience with Android apps, if it keeps stopping and shutting down randomly, try first restarting your phone. And then if it's still doing that sort of where it's just randomly shutting down, it's probably a counterfeit app and you might want to exit. And
once again, someone just asked which version. So it looks like this. That's the logo. There are some that are similar. And that's kind of all the information I can give you. Which company produces Splice? Actually, I'd have to go to the App Store and find out. And
it's Bending Spoons. I looked it up.
Bending Spoons, that's the one you want. Anyone else? Any other questions? Recommended length for social media. 42 seconds is a magical number on YouTube. And that can be 1 minute and 42 seconds or 42 or 242. I don't know, there's something magical about that number. Maybe it's because everyone read the same sci-fi books growing up. It matters the platform. So under 15, so videos on Instagram in the grid automatically loop. 15 seconds or under is really great, but it has to be less than 40 seconds or it goes into another aspect called Instagram TV. Videos and stories, again, 15 seconds is great. It matters your message. If you have a long message, make a long, good video. They'll be able to watch the very beginning of it in the case for Instagram, and then they can choose to continue watching it on Instagram TV. On Twitter, they can watch the whole thing right there, and Twitter is much more set up for long videos. People watch news and clips and multi-minute things. Generally speaking, if you're trying to convince someone of something or share an important message or you're marketing, under 2 minutes. All right. Will I present video editing for computer platforms as opposed to phones? No one has asked for that. The reason we do the phones is that everyone has a phone, and for businesses who are doing social media daily in your shop, in your workshop, in your seminar, in your yoga studio, whatever it is you're doing, it's very easy to grab your phone and make a short video that's 30 seconds long about what's going on today, add some music and text, and upload it instantly. A lot of people aren't taking the time to organize their video that they shot on their phone into their computer, etc. But there's definitely help that you can get for that kind of work privately. If you are working with West as a client, they can help guide you toward that one-on-one help. Where do you click on Instagram to full-size video? There, I'll try to get a picture of it. There are these little triangle shapes in the bottom left. When you do a new post, you hit the plus sign, and then it will auto-fill the video at full frame. And on the bottom left corner, you touch the little 2 arrows, and it'll expand it out to show the entire video. Any other? Totally new to this. Suggestions about lighting. Okay, natural light is always best because it's beautiful, it's soft. Indirect light, so if you draw the shades down or the light is bouncing off a wall as opposed to direct sunlight, is lower contrast. You want to avoid high contrast unless you're trying to sell something scary or dramatic. So, and if you're using man-made light, you want to use incandescent. Old-fashioned light bulbs with filaments are best for warm light as opposed to LEDs and fluorescents, which can be a little bit harsh. You can drape some fabric over your light to soften it, but the short answer is soft light is best. Indirect light, natural sunlight is always a big win. Bending spoons, someone is saying that they're not seeing it at the Android store. So you want to look for the app Splice in the Android store and then check the maker of the app is Bending Spoons. I don't think you can search Bending Spoons.
And someone else just asked if you could show the photo again of the app.
Oh, yes. And someone says, I love your hairstyle. And I don't know who they're talking to, but if it's me, thank you, because I've been cutting my own hair for the last 3 months
We were just talking
by
about that.
myself. So I can't believe that came out there in the text, and I hope it's to me is all I can say.
It absolutely is.
Thank you. Here is so it looks like this, and the maker is Bending Spoons.
Although possibly with Android, it might be a different company working with them. If you want to work with Baqi, you can of course sign up as a West client and get his personal help with this.
This is true. And thank you everyone for the compliments on the hair cutting skills. Yes, some of you will have the wrong app and you'll need to find the right one. And someone is suggesting that north window light is very nice for indirect light, which is true. Your north window won't have direct sunlight coming in. And so that's a nice ambient light. Yeah, there are 8 versions in the Android store and 7 of them are counterfeit and 1 of them is real.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Just because I have an Android phone and so I've done the perusing of the Android store, and it's just a matter of looking for one that has the app image, just like what Baqi showed us, and finding that one and then looking in the interface. So it's just a bit of a hunt and peck. And as far as someone who put in the question in the comments, the cost of personal counseling, if you sign up to become a West client, it is absolutely free. There is no cost. It's just a short telephone.
I want to mention the SBA is your tax dollars at work, and it's probably the most successful and best aspect of the federal government ever. After World War II, they decided that supporting small businesses was going to be a good thing. It turns out our entire economy is run on small businesses, and tax dollars are set aside every year. And in every single county in America, there's an SBA office or an organization that works with the SBA, and they bring consulting and other benefits to small business owners at absolutely no cost. And you and all your business owner friends should use it because it's there like the roads. It's just there for you to use.
But hopefully a lot more fun than getting stuck in traffic.
Yes.
All right, well, we've just got a couple more minutes. Any other questions for Baqi while? Oh,
someone asked if I do live in Mendocino, yes. And app permissions, the app will ask you permission to access your photo library or your video and photo library, and you're gonna have to give it permission. Please make sure it's the one with the right logo that is from Bending Spoons is the maker.
And let's see, while folks are thinking of last questions, I'm gonna go ahead and launch that poll that I mentioned at the beginning that I'll be launching. Again, this is just sort of getting some feedback so we know what kind of workshops we should offer next, but also really helps us with our funding so we can keep doing workshops like this in the future. So I've gone ahead and I've put that up on the screen so everyone should be able to see it now. If you don't, check your bottom bar on your Zoom and you'll see an option that says polls, and just make sure it's not minimized by mistake. And then you can answer those questions.
Someone mentioned that, you know, it's a little intimidating getting started with video. And the idea of this is obviously you're not going to learn to be great by watching this presentation, but it should free you up to play with the app. You can play with it all you want without ever subscribing. You can edit basic videos and export them without the bonus features without ever paying anything. And you get a free week if you just want to use it for a week and play around or find another one. Most video editing apps work in a similar fashion. Splice is popular because it is so well engineered.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I don't know about anyone else, but I find from watching this presentation, it frees me up to have the confidence to play with other video or photo editing apps and apply the same kind of concepts. You know, just sort of, as you said, you know, just play, just press buttons, just have fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see folks are answering the polls. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna leave it open just a couple more minutes. As I said before, I will be emailing a link to the recording as well as the slides with all those helpful tips and tricks from Baqi. And of course, if there are any last minute questions, please feel free to either email us, we'll get those over to Baqi. And
there are other webinars that are in the archives that they can view, is that correct?
that is absolutely correct.
So I've done a webinar on Instagram basics, which might help some of you understand how to then use this media for your Instagram accounts a little better, or how to get somewhat better results. You might want to check that out as well. Most of the same rules apply to Twitter and Facebook and that sort of thing, but Instagram is the most used app for businesses and marketing at this point.
Definitely. And yes, there's your Instagram, and also you have a Facebook webinar in our archive as well.
Answering two questions, I believe you have to be in Lake County or Mendocino County as a business owner to participate with WEST, but I'll let Clara answer that. But before that, I just want to say, to answer a question about the app, when you drag something to the trash of your project, you have to go back to your, there's a media button, and if you select the media button, it will allow you to go back into your album and retrieve any video, or open other albums and retrieve video to add it. So you can't get it out of the trash, but you can go back and get it from its original place. Also, when you've created an album, when you delete media in the album, you're not deleting it from the camera roll. It's still in your phone. It's just gone from the album. And now about, sorry, Lake and Mendocino County businesses.
Oh, yes, of course. So West Business Development Center, we work with businesses that are in Mendocino or Lake County, because we are the SBDC and the WBC for Mendocino or Lake County. But if you give us a call or you email us, we can help put you in touch with your local county or state SBDC or WBC. If you're in California, if you're in Oregon, they're all across the US. So we can help you guys with that. All right, so we're
definitely get help. And someone would like to know where they can watch the webinars, the archive ones.
I have put that link in the chat box. You can also just head over to the WEST website, www.westcenter.org, and under workshops, you'll see it as a menu option, webinar archive, and you can go and view all of our past webinars there. But we're just at the top of the hour, so we're just running out of time. So Baqi, I want to say thank you so much. Always a pleasure. I always learn something new whenever you teach at workshops. So thank you so much for giving us your valuable time.
Thank you, and thank you everyone. And I hope everyone is doing well with their businesses. It's a tough time, but keep at it. And we're here to support you in any way we can.
Absolutely. Stay well, stay safe. Thank you everyone for coming. Give us a call if there's anything we can do to help you with your business, and I hope to see you all at our next workshop. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.